On the morning of July 24th, a small Swedish company published its quarterly report, and buried in the segment table was a number that should be impossible. OXE Marine, the company that builds the outboard we covered recently, the one with a BMW straight 6 lying on its side and a carbon fiber belt where the gears should be, sold 5.1 million kroner of engines in 3 months. A year ago, that figure was 48.6 million. 90% of its engine sales gone in 4 quarters. And inside that number sits a strange one. Spare parts made up 64% of everything OXE sold this spring. The pioneer of the diesel outboard spent 3 months as mostly a spare parts business, supplying the engines it already sold instead of selling new ones. Here's what nobody watching would guess. While the engine sales were collapsing, the company's gross margin improved from 37% to 40%. Every sale OXE made was more profitable than the year before. There were just barely any sales to make. Days before this report, we called OXE fragile. We had no idea a document was coming that would show exactly how fragile, down to the day, December 1st, when a very specific clock runs out. So where did the buyers of the most contrarian engine on the water actually go? For anyone arriving fresh, the machine at the center of this story deserves 30 seconds. Because the collapse makes no sense without understanding what was collapsing. OXE Marine spent a decade building the outboard nobody else would build. The engine lies flat instead of standing upright. The lower unit contains no gears. Power reaches the propeller through a carbon fiber belt, fed by a gearbox that keeps forward and reverse engaged at all times. So the shifting that destroys conventional lower units has nothing to destroy. The powerhead came from Munich, BMW's 3-liter twin-turbo diesel, the same straight 6 the company puts in its most expensive sedans. That detail is about to matter in a way nobody predicted. The machine found its market. Around 5,000 OXE engines went onto the water, and 9 out of every 10 went to people who boat for a living. Harbor pilots, patrol fleets, commercial fishermen, government agencies. One charter operator published an estimate of $500,000 in fuel savings over 4 years. Poor engines passed 3,000 operating hours in daily service. The engineering argument was won, which is precisely what makes the second quarter of 2026 so strange, because engineering arguments don't reverse in 12 months. The company's own explanation came from its chief executive, Paul Frick, and it's specific. Delays in the United States government projects, and tariff and geopolitical uncertainty that stretched customer decision-making timelines. Government fleets were the heart of OXE's order book, and government procurement is a machine with a pause button. When Washington's projects froze, so did the purchase orders. And the numbers show where it hurt most. OXE's American organization has been cut to 9 people. Headcount across the whole company is down to 46, from 54 a year ago. Frick also noted that other marine manufacturers reported the same conditions this quarter, and the claim checks out. The American market for new powerboats has shrunk from roughly 300,000 boats in 2021 to somewhere near 220,000 last year. Even Brunswick, Mercury's parent, the industry giant, watched its propulsion margins compress under the same tariffs this spring. The downturn hit everyone. It hit hardest at the company with the least cushion. A single-category manufacturer, dependent on government buyers, selling a premium product costing multiples of the gasoline engine it replaces, into a market that had stopped signing. An ordinary struggling company gets less profitable as it shrinks. Discounting to move stock, margins bleeding. OXE's gross margin went the other way, 40%, up 3 points in the worst quarter of its life. A company doesn't produce that number by accident. And the explanation sits in what OXE was actually selling while the engine sat still, and in a warehouse in Sweden that the quarterly report prices precisely at 137.9 million kroner. The margin puzzle solves quickly. With new engines barely moving, most of what OXE sold this spring was spare parts and service for the 5,000 engines already working. And spares carry better margins than complete engines. The installed base kept paying, even while the order book froze. That shift makes each krona of revenue look healthier, while the revenue itself comes from the company's past instead of its future. The warehouse is where the real damage lives. 137.9 million kroner of inventory, against total assets of 274.7 million. Half of everything OXE owns is stock. Engines, bought and paid for, sitting on shelves. And through 6 months of collapsing sales, that pile didn't shrink. It grew by 4 million kroner. Why does that matter more than the sales number itself? Because every engine in that warehouse represents cash the company already spent, converted into metal that only turns back into cash when someone buys it. At the current pace, 5 million kroner of engine sales a quarter, clearing it would take years. The obvious move would be to discount the stock and turn it into money fast. For OXE, the obvious move fails twice over. Its buyers are governments and commercial fleets, and a cost guard doesn't accelerate a frozen procurement cycle because an engine got cheaper. The freeze is political, and price can't thaw that. And the 40% margin is the one number on this report that keeps investors writing checks. A fire sale would burn the last healthy figure on the sheet to solve a problem it can't actually solve. So the metal sits, the shelves stay full, and the cash question takes over the story. That question has hard numbers attached, and they deserve to be read slowly. OXE entered April with 1.2 million kroner in the bank. For a company burning more than 5 million a month, that is weeks of survival, not months. The rescue came at the annual general meeting on April 24th. A directed share issue of 60 million kroner, priced at 24 euro per share, which brought in 59.6 million net. 19.2 million of it went straight back out the door to repay loans from the company's own shareholders. What remained went into operations, and operations consume it. Cash at the end of June, 13.8 million. Operating cash outflow for the half year, 34.5 million. Run those two figures against each other. 13.8 in the bank, 17.25 burned per quarter at the first half rate. The raise bought quarters, and nothing about the burn rate says years. And one more line in the report puts a date on the wall. OXE's credit facility with SEB, the Swedish bank, matures no later than the 1st of December 2026. An extension is possible, subject, the report says, to credit approval. Which means that sometime in the next 5 months, a bank looks at everything you've just seen and decides whether this company continues on its current path. 5 months. So what exactly is OXE planning to do with them? The plan on the surface is the one you'd expect. Lean harder into the customers who never left. During the same quarter that engine sales collapsed, OXE signed an OEM agreement with Damen Compact Crafts, part of the Damen Shipyards Group, one of the largest workboat builders on Earth, making OXE diesels standard equipment across the relevant vessels in Damen's HDPE workboat range. The selling done once at the shipyard instead of one fleet at a time. Alongside it, Tideman Boats selected OXE 225s to power a new fleet of support vessels a Dutch government authority will operate in the Caribbean. Frozen procurement in Washington, working procurement in Rotterdam. Those are the deals a struggling engine maker is supposed to announce. The one that came next is stranger, and it's the reason this video exists. Shortly after the quarter closed, General Motors Marine Division placed an order with OXE worth roughly $700,000, part of a $1 million project. The order covers no engines at all. GM is paying for engineering services, components, and a formal study of OXE's patented lower leg drive, the gearless belt-driven transmission this whole company was built around. OXE's own report describes the purpose: exploring alternate power solutions to be paired with the OXE lower leg. Read that from Detroit's side of the table. One of the largest car makers on Earth looked at a Swedish company whose engine sales had just fallen 90%, and what it decided was worth examining was the leg, and only the leg. The move fits a pattern already underway, because OXE's relationship with its powerheads was changing anyway. The company that built its flagship around BMW's Straight Six is switching future engines to General Motors. And the company it's switching to is simultaneously paying to study the transmission it would bolt to. The Munich engine that defined the brand is on its way out. The partnership replacing it runs deeper than parts supply. And that reframes what OXE actually owns: the certifications, the 5,000 engines of Sea-Proof, and above all, the patented drive that no other manufacturer has. A transmission deliberately designed so that any sufficiently strong power source can sit on top of it. Diesel sits on it today. Whatever GM is contemplating could sit on it tomorrow. The report calls engineering services a new revenue stream, which is accounting language for something bigger. For the first time, OXE made money not by selling the machine, but by selling the knowledge inside it. Which raised a question this company's investors, its bank, and anyone who admires the engineering should be asking before December. If the engines stop selling but the ideas start, what exactly is OXE? An engine maker having a catastrophic year? Or a technology company that spent a decade disguised as one? So the answer to where the buyers went. They didn't abandon the engine. The 5,000 already at sea kept running hard enough to generate nearly 2/3 of the company's revenue in parts. The buyers are governments waiting on frozen paperwork. In a market where everyone's orders shrank, buying from the one company small enough that a pause in Washington shows up as a 90% hole in a quarterly report. That's the collapse. Real and carrying a deadline. But be careful concluding that a death is underway because the report carries the counterweights too. OXE still holds 133 million kroner in equity, a solidity of 48%. And as Powerboat News put it in the most level-headed line written about this company all month, this is a business under pressure in its operations and a long way from out of options. Damen is bolting its engines to workboats as standard. A Dutch government fleet is being built around them. And the strangest lifeline of all runs to Detroit, where GM's marine arm is paying to understand the one piece of OXE nobody else on Earth can sell. There's a world of industry hiding in that lifeline, and it's bigger than one Swedish company. The history of engineering is full of businesses that failed while their ideas won. The invention outliving the inventor's balance sheet, absorbed by whoever had the scale to carry it. OXE spent this spring living both halves of that pattern at once. The engine business bled in the segment table while the idea business signed its first check from one of the largest manufacturers alive. Most companies never learn which of the two they really are. OXE finds out on a schedule. Because the clock from the start of this video is still running, on the 1st of December, a Swedish bank decides whether the credit line that keeps the lights on gets extended. And the report that bank will weigh is the one you've just seen inside. The warehouse full of engines, the 13 million in cash, the Damen contract, the GM study. Weigh it however you like. The bank will be doing the same. The most contrarian outboard ever built survived every test the ocean gave it. Whether it survives its own accountant's calendar, that gets answered in 5 months, and we'll be covering it when it does.